Hello everybody. Today we're going to make these cute little Cupid's arrow earrings. And I thought they was just adorable. They don't take many materials. So let's just go over what we need right now. We're going to need some Tilas. And I'm using matte Picasso seafoam, and they don't look like matte to me, but okay. And then we're going to need just a few 4mm round beads. I'm using Czech fire polish, and then a few little seed beads, and I've got some little 6mm and probably 8 or 10mm hearts for the shaft of the arrow. Oh, and an ear wire. Well, 2 ear wires, since I'm only going to make one, but I assume you'll be making a pair. So let's get out the ear wire. Alright, so that's I'm using a size 10 beading needle with about I'd say a wingspan of fire line, because we're going to be sewing around these Tilas quite a bit, and leave you about a 6-inch tail to sew in. Okay, get your stuff together and come back and we'll get started. Alright, we've got our beading needle, and we're going to pick up 2 Tilas and bring them down to our stop bead, and this is how they're going to lay. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up one more. Oops, that looks broken. One more Tila, and you're going to come down through the left hole of that first Tila on the bottom closest to your stop bead. It's really raining. If you can probably hear it. Alright, now let's just get our Tilas adjusted here. You gotta fiddle with them a little. What's going on here? Okay. Like that. And then let's come back up through the hole right under the stop bead and the one above it, the left hole of the Tila on the right. Cool. Now we got to close this gap, so we're going to go back down through the right hole of the Tila on the left. Sorry about that, I had to move my flush cutters. And then back up through the left hole with the Tila on the right. Yeah, so you can get in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we've got that. Looks like a T. Okay, so we got to work our way back, coming out the top of one of these Tilas. So we're going to come down through this left hole of this Tila. Then that's the right hole of the next Tila. And then up through the left hole of the left Tila. Alright, we're going to pick up a Tila. And I'm doing this so we can kind of see how this is going. So that's going to lay like that. And then we're going to pick up another Tila and gonna bring it down, and come down through the right hole of that same Tila. Our threads come, well, the Tila on the second row, the right hole. Okay, where's the hole? There we go. This is how it was laying. I don't want to switch it up on you. And let's get those laying right. There we go. And let's come back up this left hole. Of the same Tila. And the right hole of the Tila above it. Right like that. Now we're going to close the gap. We're going to come down through the left hole of the Tila to the right. And back up through the right hole of the Tila on the left. And that's just kind of going to bring them together. Nice and neat. Alright, then we got to work our way over to here. So we're going to come down the next hole. And we're going to go back up through that next hole. And we need to go down through that again, I see, but we'll do that in a minute. Okay. Let's pick up one Tila and come down through that right hole of the second row of the right Tila. Okay, let's come up through the left hole that Tila we're coming out of, and the right hole of the Tila above it. And that'll take care of that little problem I was just talking about a few seconds ago, where it wasn't connected. Okay, now we're going to cinch these together. So we're going to go down through the left hole, that Tila on the right. Let's see, is that too much light? Is that better? Let's see. And we'll go back up through that middle Tila, the right hole, that middle Tila. Get my tail thread out of the way. Okay, now we're going to come down through the left hole of that right Tila. And we're going to come up that next hole. And we're ready to put our next row on, our fourth row. So, pick up a couple Tilas and we will go down through this next hole, the left hole of that same Tila that we're coming out of. And we'll get them situated. And then we'll come up through the right hole of that tila we're coming out of, right here, and the one above it, the left hole of the tila above it. And then we'll come down through the right hole of that next tila, back up through the left hole of the one on the right. And now we'll cinch them together, right like that. So we need to move over to the side. So we'll just go down through the next hole and up through the next hole. We need to tie that down too, but we'll get that in a minute. And let's pick up one and go down through the next hole in the tila underneath, the left hole of the tila underneath. We'll come up through the right hole of the one that we're coming out of, and the one above it, the left hole of the tila above it. You see that? Now we got to cinch them together, so we'll come down through the right hole of the one to the left, and then we'll go back up through the left hole of the one on the right. Okay, now we got to work our way back over. So we're going to go down the next hole and up the left hole, that next tila. Let's pick up one tila, and come down the left hole. Oops. The left hole of the tila on the third row on the left. Come down, and then, sorry about that, got to hold it the same way so you can, and then come up the right hole in that same tila and the one above it, like that. And we'll go down, we're going to cinch them together. So we'll go down the right hole of the tila on the left, and we'll come back up through the left hole of the tila on the right. Look at that. Let me seal that down right there. So we've got to work our way back over here, so we can add that next tila. So go down through the next hole on the left and back up through the next hole. Okay, now we will pick up two tilas, and we'll go down through, let's see, this gets confusing if we don't bring it down. Okay, yeah, we'll go down through that next hole, the hole on the right of that tila, that same tila. Then we'll come up the left hole of that leftmost tila on the 4th row and up through the right hole of the one above it. Then we'll come down through the left hole of the tila on the right, just to the right of it, back up through the right hole of that leftmost tila, and cinch them together, and then we'll go down through the next hole to the right, and back up through that right hole in that same tila. I notice I got a loop of thread that won't cinch down, so I got to make sure to pull my thread tight. Okay, so let's pick up another tila. And come down through that next hole. The one we have, the very next hole on that 4th row. That. Where are we at? Here we are. Back up through the left hole and the one above it. That tila we're coming out of. Right there. And we want to cinch these down closer, so we'll go down through the left hole of that next tila. And up through the right hole of the one before it. So let's go down. I was just noticing there is, I've looked and looked at these tilas, not these ones, but other bottles, and it seems like there's a little hump in the middle on both sides of most of them, but then some of them, like this one, seems flatter. So you might want to pay attention to what side tila you're working with. Go down through the left hole of that one, the one to the right of it, and up through the right hole of that rightmost tila on the top row, the one we're working on. And pick up another tila. Come down through that next hole on the 4th row. And back up through the left hole, the one we're coming out of, and the tila, the right hole of the tila above it. Come down through the left hole, the hole just right of the one we're coming out of. And back up through the right hole of the tila just to the left. Okay, and let's go down through the next hole and back up through the hole to the right. I'm going to add one more to this row, so pick up a tila, come down through that next hole, up through the left hole of the tila we're coming out of, and the right hole of the one above it. And let's cinch them together. Let's come down through the left hole of that tila to the right, and up through the right hole of the tila right to the left, and pull them down. Now let's move over. Let's go down the next hole and back up through the hole, the next hole to the right. Okay. Now we'll put on our 6th row. No, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we're getting ready for a 6th row. So let's pick up a couple of tilas. Okay, wait a minute. This row's a little different. This row is we're going to be right, instead of staggering them over to the right or left, this one's going to be right above. So let's pick up a tila, slide it down. Oops, pulled it out of my hand. Come down through the, hold on a minute, let me pick it up a little different. I noticed the flat side. I don't want it on the flat side, I want it on the hump side. And then we'll come down through the top of that tila, and the corresponding hole, the one on the left of the one underneath, and pull. And then we'll come up through the right hole of the tila just to the left. We'll sew these together until we get them on. So let's pick up a tila, bring it down, go down through the left hole and the left hole with the tila right underneath of it. Alright, let's go ahead and sew these together. So let's come up through the right hole of that same tila and the right hole of the tila above it. And let's come down through the left hole of the tilas right to the right and the one underneath of it. And that should tie them together. Now let's just work our way up. Let's just work through this 5th row until we get in position. So we go up and down the left hole of that tila, up through the right hole, down through the left, up through the right hole of the next tila, down through the left, because we're going to skip that tila. That's going to be our little cleavage in our heart. And then we're going to pick up, or we're going to go up through that right hole of that next tila. And we're going to pick up I'm going to pick up a tila and slide it down. I'm going to come down through the next hole to the left and the left hole with the tila right underneath of it. And we're going to go up through the right hole of the next tila to the left. I'm going to pick up one more tila and bring it down. And we're going to go down through the left hole of that tila and the tila beneath it. Then we're going to go up through the right hole and the right hole with the tila above it. I'm going to sew these together by going down through the left hole of the next tila and back up through the right hole of the tila before it. Okay, and then that puts us in position to put on the last row. And we're going to come up through and bring it down. We're centering this last tila on the sixth row. We're going to come down the top in the right hole of that tila and the left hole of the tila to the right underneath. And let's go back up through the right hole of the tila right to the left of the one we're coming out of, and the left hole of the tila right above it, the tila we just added. Okay, now we got to work our way back over to this side. So we will come down, three tilas. The right hole with the first one, the left hole with the next two. And we'll just come up through this one tila, the hole on the right of the tila we're coming out of right now. And then down through the hole on the left, or the left hole of the tila to the right. Pay very close attention to your thread. And then go up through that right hole of that same tila. See, let's go down through the left hole of the next tila to the right and up the right hole of that same tila and the one above it. Okay, now let's pick up a tila, bring it down, come down through the top hole of that tila and the left hole of the tila to the right underneath. Now let's go back over to the right hole of the tila directly to the left and the left hole of the tila on top. Very good. There's our heart and our Cupid's arrow head. Now we gotta work our way down and to the center here. So come down through the hole on the right, the hole underneath, two holes. We're coming through three tilas, the one on top and the left hole with these two right underneath. And then we'll come up, we'll snake our way over to the center. So we'll come up that right hole in the next tila. It's getting tight right now. And come down through the left hole of that same tila. And we'll go up through the right hole of the next tila. And now we're in position to put on the shaft of our arrow. And let's see, I think I'm gonna put some seed beads in between my beads. So I'm gonna pick up a seed bead. I'm gonna pick up one of the smaller hearts. I'm going to pick up a seed bead. I'm going to pick up a 4mm rounds. I used pearls in this one. I'm going to pick up a seed bead. I'm going to pick up a bigger heart. I'm going to pick up a seed bead, a round, 4mm round seed bead. And a smaller heart. That's 6mm. There we go. Now I'm going to add the ear wire. So let's pick up a seed bead. Let's go through the loop of our ear wire. And another seed bead. Excuse me. And then come down through all of your beads here. The shaft beads. And if you can get through, come down through, not the hole we came out of, but the left hole, the opposite hole. If you came up through the right hole, come down through the left, or vice versa. And pull. And now we're going to go back up through the right, because if you do the opposite, it'll pull it in the center of that tila. That's why we did it like that. It'll center the shaft of the arrow. So come up through the right hole of that tila, or the left, whichever one is opposite the hole you came out. And then we're going to come back up. We're just going to reinforce. So we're going to come back up through. All the beads. Make sure you don't miss any, because then it'll make your beads wonky, and you'll be able to see your thread. Make sure you pull that down tight so your beads are tied up against one another. Okay, come up out this one of these seed beads, come through the loop of the ear wire, and come down that next seed bead. Then come back down beads, and down the left hole that tila. And there's the Cupid's arrow earring. So now we're going to snake around and end our thread. So it just doesn't matter where you go, just make sure you follow the thread path, as in, so you don't see your thread isn't showing. To just make sure your thread goes down between the tilas. And let's change directions. Go that way. This is very secure. I mean, I made a mistake, and I literally had to cut each one of the Tilas apart. I couldn't pull them apart even after I made several cuts. Let's see, let's go down this hole. Just, you know, snake around. And when you feel comfortable, cut your thread and burn it. Or just cut it. And then sew in your tail thread the same way. Okay, there's, I won't sew my tail thread in here, but there is the Cupid's arrow earrings. I put a few more beads on the shaft of the one we made together. It's a little longer because of the seed beads. But there's a couple different colors to show you, you know, the difference. And I think they're adorable. So, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. And I'll see you in the next video.